to UFC Connected. I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what's coming up on today's show. Jared Gordon retraces his incredible journey from addiction and adversity to the biggest stage in MMA.
The city can make you or break you.
I used to shoot heroin in Penn Station underneath this building. Now I'm fighting in it and knocking guys out. You can do anything you want.
We get a glimpse inside the mind of Cory Sandhagen and his approach to the fight game.
I fight because it is in my soul. What keeps me fighting is just this idea that I haven't found the best version of myself yet.
And we pay homage to Amanda Nunes, the greatest women's champion of all time.
She has done things that no one has done in the UFC.
First ever Brazilian women's champion, first gay UFC champion, and first double division women's champion. She's the greatest of all time.
In the midst of UFC 295 at the iconic Madison Square Garden, lightweight contender Jared Gordon realized a dream, achieving victory in the very same building where he had faced some of his most formidable challenges. Proving to be a fighter beyond the octagon, the New York City native shares his inspirational journey from the streets to the Garden in Fighter Focus.
New York City, a city without a comp in the world. We are in the Big Apple for what has become an annual November showcase.
This is the place to see MMA. This is the most iconic arena in all of combat sports history, and tonight is a special night.
I have deep roots in New York City. The city can make you or break you. For me, it did both. I would walk by the Garden and look up at it and think to myself, one day I would fight there and win just like my grandfather did.
Jared Gordon's a total inspiration, and what he's dealt with en route to this UFC appearance tonight is nothing short of extraordinary.
Having the opportunity to fight here in New York City means something to Jared Gordon.
I was going to have my Madison Square Garden moment.
Oh, he heard him. Madison is down. That'll do it. He got it.
New York, you made me. My grandfather fought in the stadium 4 times. I used to shoot heroin in Penn Station underneath this building. Now I'm fighting in it and knocking guys out. You can do anything you want.
My whole family, we're New Yorkers through and through. Fighting and drugs run in my family, and we have a deep history with both. My grandfather is Salvatore Fiorello. He grew up here in Harlem. He was a pro boxer. He fought mostly in and around New York City. He had some pretty big fights.
Aggressive, spidery looking, near the end of the first round now. And he almost floored him then. The challenger has been forcing all the way.
Not only was my grandfather a pro boxer, but he was also a bit of a gangster. My grandfather was involved with organized crime, and he was dealing heroin at the time. He died young. He died drinking, smoking, all the way to the grave. He didn't have the tools to get the help that he needed to have a fruitful life. I was born in Manhattan, and I spent the first half of my life in Roslyn Heights. Roslyn Heights is a very affluent neighborhood on the North Shore of Long Island. My father did very well. He was a blue-collared guy. He owned a wholesale hardware company. He started as a mom and pop, and they grew it into a corporation. I lived in a big, lofty house with a pool, and we had 3 cars. I had everything that a kid could ask for. My parents gave us everything that we wanted. 8 years old, I went to a sleepaway camp in Pennsylvania. I was sexually assaulted there by a male counselor. I can remember the pain, the sounds, the smells, the taste, and those are like, those feelings will never go away and will forever be etched in my memory. It was a really, really dark time for me. I remember coming home from camp that summer, I would get like a flashback of what had happened to me. I always remember thinking like, I don't want to think about this. Like, I don't want to feel this. So drugs became an easy way for me to numb the pain. When I started doing different drugs, I was 9 years old. I was really young. First was weed and alcohol. Everything I did was to bury my feelings. I just wanted it to go away. We ended up moving to Astoria, Queens. I'm in an urban area, complete culture shock. I had to start over in a new high school. I was pissed off. Most of the kids that I was friends with and that I was hanging out with were all, you know, kind of like knuckleheads. And my buddy was like, yo, let's go box. Let's go to the boxing gym. The Ultimate Fighter had just premiered. Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffin.
It's gotta be the craziest war I think I've ever seen.
And I just fell in love with the sport, man. I started training MMA and I hurt my neck. I wanted the pain to go away. I took some Vicodin, and that quickly led me to like full-blown opiate addiction. I was 22 when I went to my first treatment center. I met two guys in there. They showed me how to use needles, and I had my first bundle of heroin. When I started using IV drugs, my life quickly deteriorated. There's no functionality in shooting drugs. Your life quickly gets out of control. Eventually, I came back home to Queens. There came a point in time where my parents weren't gonna enable me anymore. It's either you get help or you get out of our house. And I would be like, all right, then I'll get out. And I would be on the street trying to figure it out. At first, it was like selling drugs. But then my addiction got so bad, I became my best customer. I would take the subway from Queens, and I would always get off at Penn Station. I would find areas to get high in. I would find a bathroom, and I would use the stall to get high in. I would go in there with my needles, and I would shoot up in there. There came a point in time where I was panhandling. I was obviously at my lowest. I would do anything to get money. Stealing from stores, robbing drug dealers. I did get arrested once for home invasion, robbery, felony battery. And I was facing 25 to life. Having MMA in my life was like an anchor for me. And it gave me a purpose. Like, I knew I wanted to be in UFC. I was using when I was an amateur. But when I made my pro debut, I was sober for about a month.
I got it. Done. Taps out.
I won my pro debut. I was training and fighting and winning fights.
Jared unloading. Might be able to finish here.
The only way that I was winning fights was if I was sober. Had a big fight in Atlantic City, and I broke my orbital.
Oh, I said that, and that could be it with that overhand right from Lentz.
Doctor stopped it due to the swelling. I had emergency surgery and spent the next 5 days in the hospital. They're giving me morphine for a week, and I'm a recovering heroin addict. I came out and I relapsed. On Christmas Eve of 2015, I had my third and final overdose. I went to a motel and went on like the bender of my life. What I gather is that I crashed into a desk with a lamp, and I made a bunch of noise, and the neighbors had called the front desk or the cops, and the cops came up to the room. They brought me to the hospital right here. I fell asleep at the hospital for about 12 hours. I woke up the next day. I went to detox that night, and I've been sober ever since. That was my last run. I used so hard, I just came to the point where I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. I was defeated. MMA definitely was a reason for me to stay sober. I love competing. I love the sport of MMA. It gave me a reason to stay disciplined and to not use or relapse. I just want to be happy, man.
With great honor to be able to bestow this black belt on him today. And Jared Gordon, if you could please come forward.
I carried the suffering and the torture that I put myself through into my training and into my fights. A year into my sobriety, I fought Bill Algeo on the Dana White Looking for a Fight show. Dana White was in the crowd scouting me.
This is the one, Dana.
The pressure was definitely on. This could be my big moment.
Holy I love the way he pressed the action. I was impressed with him.
I did a great job. I won the fight.
It's all good. What do you think? You want to do this?
I was born for this.
You want to do this?
I need to do this.
Okay.
I have to do this.
Yeah, you're in your prime right now. Got a good record. I'll call you.
Thank you, sir.
We got a deal, brother.
All right, thank you so much.
All right.
Jared Flash Gordon making the walk for his UFC debut. He tweeted last week, 18 months ago, I was shooting crack and heroin in a motel by Queensbridge Projects. Now I'm signed to the UFC, hashtag anything is possible.
I've been through a lot of situations. I've been in places that are far worse than any other feeling that I've ever felt. You come to a point in a fight where you're like, should I throw the towel in? And I've never even contemplated that in my life. And I think I get that from all the suffering that I went through.
Jared Gordon trying to finish this fight. And there is it. Jared Flash Gordon, a winner in his UFC debut.
Being able to persevere and get through all that definitely correlates into fighting. You can be the hammer or the nail. You can be humiliated or you can be celebrated.
Good shots to the body. Excellent work.
There's no high like it. There's no drug like it.
Jared Gordon spoke about how this fills the void.
Oh, nice shot by Jared Gordon.
Oh, he hurt him.
Madison is down. Yeah, that'll do it.
He got
the
it.
New York moment for Jared Flash Gordon.
Wow.
New York City is a huge part of who I am. Now that I've fought at Madison Square Garden and won in fashionable style, the next step is getting ranked and then becoming champion.
Order.
Life is amazing now. Every day I wake up and I'm so happy to be alive. No matter how far down the hole you think you are or what you're struggling with, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. The main thing that you can do is find your higher power, because at one point or another, you can't rely on anything else.
You can do anything you want if you put your mind to it and have a little faith in God.
It's been said that some people are just born to fight. And when it comes to bantamweight contender Cory Sandhagen, that sentiment could not be truer. Sandhagen has dedicated his life to being the best martial artist that he can be. And this drive for greatness is evident every time he steps foot inside the octagon. We sat down with the Colorado native to better understand his cerebral approach to all things fighting in warrior code.
I fight because it is in my soul. Some people like doing math. Some people like playing the piano. I don't know what drives people to their passion, but for me, fighting is in my soul.
Oh my goodness!
What keeps me fighting is just this idea that I haven't found the best version of myself yet.
Oh! Enter the Sandman!
I have really high ambitions, and with these high ambitions comes this drive to figure out how great I can be.
His focus is so narrow on putting everything he has into achieving the very highest level in the sport of mixed martial arts.
I think that there's a couple different types of people. I think that there's people that want to live life and have MMA be a part of it. And then I think that there's people that want to live MMA and have life be a part of it. And I'm one of those guys that wants to live MMA and have life be a part of it. It feels like you're sacrificing life in order to achieve something great. I've given all of my energy and love to the sport. There aren't a lot of things that I like to do other than to get better at the gym and learn things about myself that are going to help me in the gym and also help me in life. When you're in the back and someone comes back and opens the door and yells, "Cory, you're on deck, let's go," In that moment, nothing is going on in my brain except for just say go. I can walk into that cage and I found something inside of me that can go out there and be fearless and not care about anything other than winning. I know what it's about to be. I know how ugly it can get, and I'm prepared for it. While I might be nervous during that day, on that night, I'm walking into that cage fearless. I don't really remember a lot of my fights. It's a lot of your body just doing what your body was trained to do, along with putting yourself in the mind state that you need to be in, which is, in my opinion, a pretty violent and ready for anything type of mind state.
He's got pretty good everything. This kid is really talented.
A lot of the fight just happens. A lot of the preparation of the fight is an area for you to think about and an area for you to reflect on, because it will make a big difference in how you go and run that program later. All of the greats have created themselves into greats. It's through hard work and love that you become great. You have to walk into that cage and want to win more than the other person. You can have all the technical skill in the world. You can be the strongest athlete. You can be the best conditioned athlete. But if you walk into that cage and you don't want to win more than the other person, I'm going to bet my money on the person that wants to win more every single time.
Cory Sandhagen against the veteran Yuri Alcantara. Oh! Alcantara catches the youngster.
Wow.
Right down to the mat now.
Looking for an arm bar.
In the Yuri Alcantara fight, when I was in an arm bar and my arm was getting torn off and Yuri was punching me in my head and blood is getting in my eye, so everything is really blurry. It was never like, oh man, this sucks, oh man, this hurts. It was, how do I get out of this so I can win this fight? To me, that's what heart is.
He's out.
My goodness! And now Cory Sandhagen will work up top.
In such a high pressure situation like fighting, to overcome that, look past it, and still be able to fight. That is not an easy thing, and not to toot my own horn, but I think that that's something that I displayed very well against Alcantara.
Cory Sandhagen!
It's pretty animalistic to get that win. You train as hard as you can, you beat your body up, you don't give your energy to anything else. You don't get to do a lot of things because you're resting. And when you get your hand raised, it feels like you earned something that money can't buy, that no one can really take from you, that that other person couldn't take from you. So when you get the win, it feels like everything that you worked for was accomplished.
Widely hailed as the undisputed GOAT in women's MMA, the Lioness Amanda Nunes left her mark on the sport. The two-division champion's historic career extended beyond her performances and inspired the next generation of female fighters. The UFC's current crop pays their dues to the Lioness in this edition of Icons.
The Lioness Amanda Nunes.
She's the greatest of all time. No question about it. The most dangerous. She can submit you on the ground. She can knock you dead on the feet. She's such an amazing athlete.
Amanda Nunes is the GOAT. She's paved the way in women's MMA.
She has done things that no one has done in the UFC.
I mean, a 12-fight win streak, how many fighters in the UFC have that? How many fighters in a championship level have that?
Ronda Rousey originally set the bar for women, and she set it very, very high. She was the first woman to kick down the doors and show the world what women were capable of, and Amanda Nunes has raised that bar even higher.
She's put us on the map, you know, she's made some noise. You think of Amanda and you think, oh my God, like that's a tough girl.
When you think about the pioneers, the Hall of Famers, the dominant athletes, Amanda Nunes is definitely up there. You know, you can't think of MMA without saying Amanda Nunes.
Amanda's the idol, isn't she? She's probably most female fighters' dream to be.
It's Amanda Nunes.
Earlier in her career, like when she was in Invicta, she wasn't the Lioness that she is now.
I wonder if
And then she really found her stride, and I feel like she started to flourish.
It is all over! Her team has stopped the fight!
She always worked hard, you know, never let the losses define her, and continued to make progress until she got to the top and took over.
Her ability to be able to perform despite the odds, and not only just be able to win, but be able to beat specialists at their own game.
There's the towel! Oh, there it is! Amanda Nunes has done it!
She's beat the woman who's beat the woman who's beat the woman who's beat the woman.
We are in Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world. Serves as the backdrop for the biggest night in UFC history.
I fought Amanda at UFC 200, and we had yet to discover, as MMA fans and fighters, the kind of Amanda Nunes that was on the horizon. She really came with a lot of ferocity in that fight. She was very powerful. Amanda delivers a type of power that's rarely seen across the women's divisions.
She packs a punch, man. Huge first round for the Brazilian. Trying to finish Misha.
She's got the choke.
It is all over! Amanda Nunes is the first female Brazilian UFC champion!
Amanda, the Lioness Nunes!
From that point, she made history.
It is the biggest fight for any woman in the 135-pound division. Ronda Rousey is the female MMA superstar.
Here we go! Nunes, utilizing that reach early, mixing things up.
Oh, she tagged her. She tagged her again.
Nunes.
She hurt her.
Big
She's stunned. That's it. That's it.
It's all over! Just like that!
Wow.
I felt like that was the most memorable fight of hers for me. That fight was like a big statement.
Huge head kick for Nunes! Homage!
That's it.
Amanda Nunes, still queen of the jungle!
It was amazing to watch her go in there and just stay very composed and aggressive and do her thing.
My favorite Amanda Nunes moment was definitely the Cyborg knockout, because nobody expected it.
She came in as an underdog and dominated and knocked out Chris Cyborg, who was one of the most dominant female athletes for quite some time.
It cemented the fact that women are here to stay, and we can do it just as good as the men.
Amanda Nunes now owns 2 UFC divisions.
Amanda Nunes has revolutionized women's MMA.
She gave all of us hope that we can come into the sport and we can be respected and looked at as athletes, not as a face, but as a fighter, as a true mixed martial artist.
Such a role model for women's MMA. She's a wonderful person. She couldn't be nicer.
Tem aberto muitas portas, né, para as meninas aí que estão chegando, a nova geração que está chegando com tudo.
I feel like she is a great leader, an example for any woman coming up in the sport to follow in the path.
I feel like Amanda influences a lot of young fighters because it shows that anyone can do anything you want. You can be a small girl from a small town that's considered an outcast and be the greatest of all time, and she proved that. She did it.
There's no doubt in my mind Amanda belongs in the UFC Hall of Fame.
It's really been the way she's done it that has set a new standard on which all future champions will be judged.
She has done things that no one has done in the UFC.
First ever Brazilian women's champion, first gay UFC champion, and first double division women's champion. She's the greatest of all time.
I think Amanda Nunes has shown the world just how talented and how skillful and how tough women can really be in this sport. She's made herself into the greatest of all time.
12 wins in a row and winning 2 belts and beating all the legends that she beat that were in front of her. She had proved everything that she needed to prove in the sport, so I understand why she walked away.
Come get the belt, all right? I believe you. Thank you.
Amanda Nunes' legacy will be the first and all-time GOAT.
Well, that's all for this episode, but we will see you next time right here on UFC Connected. Thanks so much for watching.